The animated movie K-Pop Demon Hunters has become the most watched film of all time on Netflix. 4 songs from its soundtrack as well have made it to the top 10 on Billboard's Hot 100, and it shows no signs of slowing down in popularity. In fact, Netflix has already greenlit a sequel. And with more on just why the film and its music have become such a hit, we are joined by Ji-yoon An, an assistant professor of Asian Studies at UBC, and she's with us in studio this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You smiled as soon as you heard that music right off the top. It is completely infectious, but the popularity of this is one thing. For 4 of the songs to make the Billboard Hot 100, that's something entirely What does that tell us?
I mean, the songs are so phenomenal. I think that's at the heart of the popularity of the film itself. I think the fact that the songs are composed and kind of performed by people that are part of or have been a part of the K-pop industry kind of speaks to the caliber of the music in the film. And it's just such a great film. You know, if you've seen it, you'll know that it's wrapped around this beautiful animation where the visuals are striking, and there's a narrative about, you know, good versus evil, good triumphing over evil. It's very easy to kind of digest. Mm-hmm. And I think all of that just comes together very well in the summer setting.
And when you talk about the animation, I have not seen it. Can you describe for me the style of animation that we're talking about here?
So the animation, it's kind of like it's very striking, it's very colorful, and they overdo a lot of the K-pop images that we get anyway, mm-hmm. the aesthetics of K-pop. So at the core of the narrative is these 3 women who are chosen. Apparently in every generation there are 3 women who are chosen to kind of keep the demons at bay. It's a fantasy setting. And in our generations, these 3 women happen to be a K-pop band. And of course, what they do is with their singing, they kind of give off this magical, spiritual positivity that then the fans take and spread to keep the demons kind of suppressed in this world. That's the kind of narrative setting. And so a lot of the film features these shots of the K-pop kind of supposed animation K-pop band performing live.
Right.
Where we see it almost like you would in a concert.
Yeah.
Where the camera pans and you see the stadiums, you see the performance. And then sometimes when they break into song, we see like a music video format of these characters kind of looking into the camera, breaking the fourth wall, low angles. So you get various aspects of what you would see in an actual pop world,
right?
Just in an animation feature film.
Well, that's what's so interesting, because you talk about breaking the fourth wall in animation, which is something that's not normally done. I mean, it's kind of, the context is usually, you know, real life.
Yes.
Or live action.
Exactly. So it's a kind of a film that I think plays with different aspects within the K-pop universe itself. So for people who are already fans of K-pop, you know, you have the idea of behind the scenes vlogging that a lot of idols do anyway. You have the idea of concerts or, you know, live streaming concerts and seeing music videos, all of that. But then for newbies, it's a new entry into this whole new universe.
K-pop Demon Hunters, I mean, it takes the whole K-pop thing a little bit further, because the lyrics are in English. Yes. Is it originally done in English, or are we seeing dubs in various languages?
It's originally composed in English. So if you listen to the songs, and the film is mainly in English, mm-hmm. but Korean words are dropped here and there, part of the songs as well as in the film. And I think they purposely chose, the director and the creator purposely chose bilingual Korean people who had been mm-hmm. you know, trained under the Korean kind of popular music industry but had never debuted. So the person EJ, who composed the 3 top songs of the film, is someone who is bilingual and chose kind of to write everything in English.
How has Korea become such a cultural force? I mean, when you think of, you know, the Busan Film Festival is one of the biggest festivals in the world now. What has happened there?
Well, the Busan Film Festival had a lot of government support at a very specific time in Korean film history, I think, when there was a lot of boost coming in. So it was many factors that fed into that. And actually, a lot of people are talking about K-pop Demon Hunters as like the next step in the Korean wave, you know, after Squid Game, like Psy Gangnam Style, within this trajectory. But I don't think that's quite right, because this is a Sony production that was sold off fully to Netflix for full distribution. So actually, in terms of the background, there are no ties back to the Korean industry in any way. And like you said, it's in English. It's not written in Korean.
Right.
So actually, it's not, I don't know whether I would call it a Korean production. And yet, there are certainly very strong ties back to the Korean culture. And I think the Korean media has picked up on it and discusses it often in terms of like the next step of the Korean wave and, testifying to Korea's soft power. And there is certainly an aspect of that too, but it is a gray area where it's not quite a Korean production.
We don't have a single word yet for exploiting Korea or, K-exploitation, I imagine. Is there a little bit of that going on here? Is there, some drawing on just the sheer popularity of all things Korean and exploiting that or using it to their advantage?
Like an appropriation,
right?
In a way. I don't think we can say that either. So having said, we can't call it Korean, the director and the creator behind it, Maggie Kang, is actually Korean-Canadian, someone who grew up in Toronto. I think she moved over when she was 5. And I've seen interviews with her where she very strongly identifies as Korean. But she is a Korean Canadian who has worked predominantly in America since graduating.
Yeah.
And so because she is Korean, she brings in aspects of the Korean culture that she wanted to showcase. And in interviews, she talks about how she was keen to kind of have a fast Korean an animation that featured Korea very heavily. And this hadn't been done or greenlit so far. So there is this kind of authenticity there, but it is also, a very much a Hollywood kind of esque production. And so I read this article back from a Korean newspaper, which hasn't been the common trend, but where it was saying, we can't really call this a Korean production. It would have never been greenlit in Korea. And the journalist made the comparison with Kung Fu Panda, how Kung Fu Panda might have Chinese cultural references, but it's a Hollywood film.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether I would go to that extent, but there is some aspect of that. And it's a bit of a gray area.
It is breaking records around the world. How is it being received in Korea?
I think everyone in Korea is aware of this film. And, Netflix doesn't really give us the breakdown by country. So until they do, we don't know how much of the population is watching it. But it is incredibly popular. And a lot of news outlets have, I think, jumped onto this wagon. And, there's an English language-based newspaper in Korea called Arirang News Outlet. And they did a whole panel with the South Korean president on K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh, wow.
So you can see the extent to which people are talking about it. But again, because of the language barrier, I don't know to what extent we're seeing like school children singing Golden like we do here. So, when I go to my child's daycare, I see like 5-year-olds singing Golden all the time.
Isn't that funny?
And my social media is flooded with kids' videos of them doing the choreography. But I don't know if we're getting that in Korea in the same way.
Yeah, and one of my sons in his teen years, his bedroom walls were covered with Korean movie posters. Which is just, you try to predict that 10 years ago, you never could have.
Well, now will probably be animation.
No, exactly. It is so great to meet you, Ji-yoon. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Appreciate it. Ji-yoon An is an assistant professor in Asian Studies at UBC. Today, talking about K-pop Demon Hunters. If you haven't seen it, head over to Netflix and have a look at the most popular thing Netflix has ever streamed.